confessional team. This confession goes back to the early 1980s. When I was training as a student nurse, I was doing my first set of night shifts, age 19, on a surgical ward, and not coping too well with the lack of sleep. I'd recently done my slips, trips and falls training, so I was being extra vigilant. I was focused, my eyes were everywhere. I was obsessed. Don't stand there, don't do that, do this, because I was good at my job.
Yeah.
As I did my evening ward round, I noticed some water on the floor by a patient's bed. This obviously had the potential to be a calamity. So many problems. Well, this is why I'd done the training. I knew what to do. I followed the letter of the law. I cleared the area, mopped, bucketed, moved a yellow danger warning cone to where the water had been mopped from, so all was well. The water had gone, the cone was in place. Beg your pardon? Smash the mic. Mic drop. All was safe again, or so I thought. At about 3 a.m. in the morning, we heard this almighty crashing noise coming from down the men's side of the ward. The sister and I ran down to see what had happened. As you know, 3 a.m. is a tricky time. Everyone gets a little wobbly, unsure of everything. You start to see things. You go walkabout, you forget your pajamas. You try to order pizza. All of these things are good 3 a.m. events.
Okay.
We're ready for those. However, there's really no easy to say what happened here. When we arrived at the bedside, to my horror, an amputee patient had tried to attach the yellow warning cone to his knee, thinking it was his false leg. This hadn't gone well, obviously, as it wasn't long enough, and he'd gone sprawling across the floor, knocking his bedside table over in the process. Also, just to complete the carry-on vibe, he sent his false teeth flying across the floor.
Please.
Oh, matron!
Oh, no.
When I'd cleared the area earlier, I had moved his false leg to another place to make way for the cone. But they weren't really similar to my eyes, as the cone was super bright yellow with the word caution written in vertical letters down the side and had a red triangle with a slipping man. And his leg looked like a leg with no red triangle and no writing on it anywhere. It certainly didn't say caution down the side of the trouser.
No, that's true.
Anyway, by now the whole ward was awake, wondering what on earth was going on. As the news travelled along the ward, hearty laughter was heard from everywhere. If Hattie Jakes, Barbara Windsor and Sid James had appeared, no one would have been surprised. I, however, was mortified, knowing I'd have to explain myself to the sister the next night. Thankfully, he wasn't hurt at all. I didn't sleep at all that night and went in early the next day to apologise to the patient. However, he'd gone home, so I missed my chance. But the other patients were still laughing. And told me reassuringly that he'd taken it in very good humour and was actually in stitches telling his family about it. Not literal stitches, you understand, in this case, just the stitches of laughter.
Of course.
He'd also kept his false leg on for the rest of his inpatient stay, not letting it out of his sight. It's high time I apologised to the poor chap whose leg I'd replaced with a yellow warning cone, and also to the rest of the ward who lost a night's sleep after their operations that day, and also for the secret smiles that I still have when I see a yellow cone. Well, it's one of those things where, there was everyone was just trying to do the right thing. But let's see how judgmental people can be. Sister Susie first.
Well, I understand it could have been worse. If you hadn't have put the cone there and left the water there, then, some crazy accident could have happened and someone might have been damaged. But you could have just said to him, just be careful. I've moved your leg. Moved your leg. It's here. If you need it, it's here.
Yes.
Just, that's where it is. It's not this cone. I just feel like maybe you should have just let him know. You're not just going to move it, but not tell them.
Considering Charlie had been on the slips, trips and falls training, he missed out there. Matt, brother from the gutter.
Yeah, I mean, we're clearly in carry-on country land here, aren't we? I mean, it's, Charlie's he's done everything he could to make sure that everything was sorted out. And yes, he did move the leg, but, I would say the onus is on you to work out what you're putting where. So I am going to forgive.
So it's the patient's fault.
The patient's fault, that's my point, yes. Really? Yes, quite reasonably, I think. So kept his leg on for the rest of the time. I also found it hilariously funny, as did we all. So, definitely forgive it.
Also, it was bright yellow.
Bright yellow,
But it was 3 a.m.,
caution.
it was dark. Mark.
Yeah.
Well,
It's not his fault.
No. Well,
anyway,
I say it is.
The argument